Hi, it's Dave from Wing Chun Mindforce here. This evening's episode, I'm going to delve into Siu Nim Tau. Very exciting thing, the first and foundational form that we use in Wing Chun, and a form that we all know, but perhaps we don't know too much about in reality. So I'm reading and discussing from Chu Shong Tin's book, the Book of Wing Chun, Volume 1. And in the links below, I'll put links to where you can buy this book from Everything Wing Chun. There is a couple of others out there, but I know for sure Everything Wing Chun's very reputable. There's also the actual source in Hong Kong, the Chu Shong Tin Alumni who sell it, but at the moment on their website, everything seems to be down because of this virus, so I'll update you about that. I'm hoping to get through to one of the guys there and find out whether they're still selling the books during this period. I prefer the money to go straight there. The whole point of me doing these readings is not to read the whole book. I'm not going to read every single word. What I really want to do is promote these two books, the two books of Wing Chun, and also Sigung's DVDs, for those who haven't heard about them, and also for those who own them but perhaps haven't got a very advanced teacher to walk you through everything that's in there. So that's what I hope to do, is just walk you through a lot of ideas that mightn't occur straight off. So let's get into it. This is called Part 1, Tiny Idea, Siu Nim Tau Form Set, which is the word that is used in these books to refer to a whole form, a form set. Function of form structure. Tiny Idea, Siu Nim Tau, is one of the three form sets of the Wing Chun martial art. It is the foundational form set to begin with. Its emphasis is on maintaining a motionless state of the body, only with the two arms actively shaping into different form structures. Yet the power so attained is enormously destructive in offense and strongly sustaining in defense. A closer look reveals that every form taps maximally on the principles of mechanics, endowing Tiny Idea, Siu Nim Tau, with the essence of being the most important basic form set. So the first thing to get from that is that the body is motionless, and that's a big part of Siu Nim Tau, is a motionless body, just the arms moving. The more motionless, the better, actually. Alive, but not moving. And that forms the foundation of our power, is connecting yourself with your body. Practicing Tiny Idea, Siu Nim Tau, entails undivided attention. A casual attitude is detrimental. Okay, so it's a serious meditation. When the techniques embodied in every form have been precisely acquired, the usage of every structure fully explored and familiarized with, which is then concerted with, connected with the skills delivered by the other two form sets, Chum Q and Bill G, detecting hand bridge and darting fingers, one can then generate as much power as one's body potentially possesses. Power will not be consumed in vain, but is always at one's disposal. So what that means is that the power that's contained in Siu Nim Tau, once you achieve that connection to your Nim Tau and you learn to use your intention, your yi, and your body's still and doesn't get affected by what you do or what comes in on you, the power is incredible, but you don't put out any effort or energy. Power is not consumed, but it's always at your disposal. And one of the great things about this art is that you can be an old person, a grey beard, or a small person, a slight person, and have incredible power, and you don't get knocked up. You don't That means in Australian, you don't get puffed out. You don't get exhausted. That's why physical fitness is not an issue. As much as physical fitness is a good thing, but for your pure Wing Chun, physical fitness doesn't matter. Sigong goes on to say, above all, practicing tiny idea, Siu Nim Tau, can foster a kind of intangible power. When in operation, such power can hardly be detected in appearance nor exhibited as the contraction of muscles. Instead, no fatigue will be felt even when encountering an impacting force. In fact, massive power is actually being sent out. Such intangible power is termed idea power, Nim Lik. Okay, so here is the first time where he's saying Siu Nim Tau fosters an intangible power which Sigong called Nim Lik, power coming from the Nim mind, which is the subconscious mind. And there's a note saying the term Nim Lik is not conventional. This name is inspired by my feelings nourished when practicing Siu Nim Tau. Okay, so next little chapter is called Generation of Idea Power, Generation of Nim Lik. This is a great one. The key to practicing Siu Nim Tau is to initiate every movement of a form by using idea, by using the Nim Tau mind, the subconscious mind. Right, had a bit of a phone memory glitch then. Hopefully it won't do it again to me. So what Sigong is saying is that we need to have dedicated focus and concentration when we're training. Single-mindedly, you should train if you can somewhere without distraction. And you should just focus on the things you're training, which will be different depending on your stage. If you're at the beginner stage, you'll just be focusing on getting the movements right, whatever your Sifu teaches you, keeping your wrists on center, for instance, keeping your elbows pointed down, all the things that we learn. As you go on, you'll start to concentrate more on what you're feeling in your body, in your arms, in your legs, in your feet, in your head, in your spine, and the muscles around your spine, etc. Nim Tau performs a critical role in converging all the bodily energy and strength onto the attack point, as different from brute force generated by contracting muscles. The above description appears not to be immediately comprehensible to beginners. Nevertheless, such power does exist. To give it a precise name is not a straightforward task. The concept, Nim Lik, this idea power, is adopted as an approximate name. If a learner can successfully acquire Nim Lik, he will find it easy and effortless in delivering enormous power contained within all the Wing Chun forms. So this is a promise, and it's something that all of us who've practiced for years and who can access this Nim Tau and can produce Nim Lik can tell you that it is an effortless power. And as I mentioned in the previous video, this is not a thing that just turns on at absolute master level one day off in the future. This is something that we build up, and in a way, if I get really philosophical about it, we're learning to find it again. It's something that we have as little children, and we're learning to re-find this ability we have. And I've talked to this in other places, but the important thing to realize is that you don't have to wait for decades to experience some Nim Lik, but it's a work in progress. It's something that sometimes will only turn on every now and then. You'll feel it every now and then. You'll fail and fail many times, and that's the key thing, is don't give up. All of us fail heaps, and you just keep setting the bar higher and higher, so you still end up failing. But once you've experienced some kind of experience of Nim Lik, some kind of effortless power against resistance, you will be very encouraged, and it often comes with quite a blissful, buzzy feeling. It's a sort of a holy feeling almost, so that keeps you going. That sort of gets you a bit addicted. Okay, now for the really interesting, freaky part. Sigong writes, Nim Lik is acquired through practicing the Siu Nim Tau form set. The stance in Siu Nim Tau already exhibits a posture of the entire body being filled up with power, or alternatively filled up with Qi. Okay, so that's slightly mysterious what he meant by that. Saying that the stance already exhibits a posture of the body being filled up with power. I'm not sure quite what that means, but I know that you can, with experience, you can see if somebody else has got it switched on. You just can't explain how. It's like intuition. And I never met Sigong personally, but whenever I watch him on a video, I can feel his state, sometimes more than others. It's a strange thing, just a video, but he exhibits being filled up with Qi, and same as other high-level people, not as high-level as Sigong was, but you can feel it in their presence, and that's why it's a sort of an intangible thing. It's easy to say, oh, this is a load of baloney, you're just making this up, Dave, this is just a cult. But it's not. But you can sort of, when you're in the presence of somebody that has this ability, you can actually feel it. He then goes on to say something very interesting. He said, it is agreeable that those who know Qigong, translator's note, a Chinese traditional skill of cultivating, roughly speaking, internal energy, which is referred to as Qi, that the magnitude of Nim Lik is dependent on the amount of and the concentration in training. Unceasing training unfolds its existence. Persistent practice further harnesses its power. So there you go. So he's saying that it's agreeable that those who know something of the Chinese art of Qigong, which is cultivation of Qi, that the magnitude of Nim Lik, of this power that comes from the Nim Tau mind, it depends on the amount of and concentration of in training, and that's not really surprising that you've got to train regularly, be disciplined, be devoted to it, not just like bit of a kid around thing. And Wing Chun tends to bore people eventually, or quite quickly, if they're not getting it or they don't feel a connection to it. They tend to drop off, and it's a well-known fact that of 100 people that start Wing Chun, there's probably one left after 2 or 3 years. But there's a heck of a lot of people who stick at it. And persistent practice further harnesses its power. Okay, so Nim Lik is something that you harness, like harnessing horses. It's a power that gradually comes to you, and I've talked to this other places too, and I'll talk more about it, but it appears that Sigong spoke about that we would sort of develop it in certain movements, certain parts, and then other things we can't use it. We can't connect to the subconscious in some things, and we can connect in others. And that's my own experience. And as you go through time, you gradually build up an arsenal of connections. So eventually it feels like you can do pretty much everything, but there's always some limits. And the conscious mind is usually the limiter. So he finishes off saying, when practicing the full Siu Nim Tau form, the flow of Nim Tau, the flow of idea, should remain uninterrupted, always be kept continuous. The purpose of Siu Nim Tau, to discover the existence of Nim Lik, can then become possible to attain. And once successfully acquired, Nim Lik acts as a kind of endless energy that can never be used up. And I've written in big letters a couple of years ago, in my excitement at reading that, the purpose of Siu Nim Tau is to discover Nim Lik, idea power. That's pretty cool, you know, and that's sort of not saying, well, the purpose of Siu Nim Tau is to kick you off, and then after you spent 30 years doing 6 forms and endless thousands of hours of Chi Sao, then you might achieve Nim Lik. That's not really how it is. He's saying clearly the purpose of the first form is to discover the existence of Nim Lik. It's not saying that you turn into a wonder like Sigong Chu was, but you shouldn't think to yourself, well, I could never do that. That's the last thing he would want. All the senior Chinese masters that I've talked to have all said that he just wanted to know that people would continue the art, wouldn't give up, would keep pursuing and researching. And being an English speaker, we have a double difficulty because we're not Chinese. We don't understand a lot of the cultural background behind the art, but we're very lucky that our Sigong wrote this book and that the wonderful Eddie Chan from Ideas Wing Chun translated it and went to such an enormous effort to present this to us. And I'll leave it there, but I would just like to thank Sigong and Eddie Chan and the others who helped him with the translation. Thanks so much for this gift. And I'd like to thank you for watching, paying attention, concentrating, doing the things Sigong said. Hopefully, amongst all that I'm saying, you'll pick up some gems. Okay, good evening.